April vibes in the air, Jupiter and Uranus aspects everywhere. This week's cosmic forecast I will share. Welcome to Just the Magic Monday. Good morning all, my name is Comet. Welcome to Magic Monday, particularly your Magic Monday astrological weather report for the week of March 27th to April 2nd. Yes, what's happening within this week's astrology, but furthermore, how you can co-create with it in order to make your life as magical and aligned as possible by moving in synchrony with the cosmos. Essentially, here on this channel, we absolutely let you know what the weather's looking like astrologically so you can bring an umbrella, so to speak, during the storms and plan your beach day during the sunny days. And this week's astrology has some sunny day energy, even if where you are located it is still stormy and rainy and windy. Honestly, same. San Diego, get it together. But alas, this week's astrology, despite that, even if the weather isn't cooperating, this week's astrology has some blessings that are shining down upon us, warming us from the inside out. The beginning of the week starts off with Mercury conjunct Jupiter. This is being able to look out at our world through this lens of growth, of optimism. It is like that first spring day after a cold winter when the sun comes out and you feel as though you have just injected 12 cups of coffee into your veins and you don't realize how much the weather affects you until the sun comes out and you feel like you have just ran a half marathon, gotten 12 promotions, like literally the dopamine rush that like courses through your body is absolutely insane. And all of a sudden you're doing things like bike riding, like you can't be inside, you just want to be outside soaking up the sunshine, right? Now, obviously, when that happens, you know, our brain is flooded with so many feel-good chemicals that we're not necessarily being logical. Maybe we're riding our bike and being like, I'm going to do this every single day. But then, you know, the next week you're kind of over it, right? But sometimes we need that little boost as it relates to our mental processes to be able to look at the world through growth. Of course, this conjunction lands in Aries. We're not going to commit to everything that we're talking about this week, okay? So don't hold your friend to it if they say they're going to run a half marathon. They very well may not, but at least they're dreaming, right? At least we're putting things out there. At least we're seeing the world through this lens of growth. This is an important week to say yes. We have Venus conjoining Uranus, which can bring some spontaneous blessings around that, saying yes to that invitation or going out with somebody who's not your normal type. We also have Mars trining Saturn. So this also is productive as it relates to work initiatives and particularly setting ourselves up to work smarter and not harder. So we'll be breaking it all down thematically as well as day by day. Before we do, let me know what you guys are sipping on today. I've got my shot here of Magic Mind, who is the sponsor of this Magic Monday. Magic Monday, Magic Mind. It is a match made in heaven, and Magic Mind is a match made in heaven with my brain. I've been opening up a bit about my severe burnout that I have been going through, and you know, I haven't really mentioned that much about it. A, because of the Virgo rising makes me feel like I always need to, you know, have it together, and B, because it does just feel like a moral, personal failing. I'm like, girly girl, you saw your transits, you knew you were gonna be drained, like why did you plan your schedule this way? It just makes me feel lame. It makes me feel like I'm bad at running my own business when I'm so overwhelmed. But the good news is that I do love what it is that I am doing. Just a lot of times the stress of all of the deadlines that I've put on myself. Again, I do this to myself. I have no one to blame. I do this to myself. I'm the worst boss that I've ever had, honestly. I'm horrible as a boss. I expect way too much of myself. I've never had a boss as mean to me as I am to myself. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. But I will let you know, with Magic Mind, it's been so helpful in just being able to cope through the stress. Because for me, when I get stressed about all these mounting deadlines, I feel so overwhelmed that it's hard for me to just handle one task at a time because I'm so stressed out, worrying about tomorrow's deadlines and setting myself up for the following week and things of that nature, and it's really not a productive place to be in. So with the help of Magic Mind, I've been getting on track. I am rearranging my schedule to accommodate basically where I'm at energetically. I'm spying my transits this summer and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take a moment. But Magic Mind has been really helpful to just get me into a calm, balanced state of mind so that I can just chug through my tasks and chug through what it is that I have to do. Now, if you're new to my channel and you are not familiar with of Magic Mind. Let me enlighten you, my love, so that you can try it. So Magic Mind, it's the small little shot that could, okay? This is a productivity shot, and it works with your brain to get you into flow state, not that like jittery, kind of like anxious feeling of coffee, because Magic Mind has matcha, which is a healthier form of caffeine. It also has nootropics and adaptogens. So that works with your body, with your mind, in order to promote flow state without scattering your energy, because girly girl, I do not need any more of that. So cheers, my loves. Make sure to check out my code Comet20 to save 20% off and get your Magic Mind subscription on. I'm telling you, if you are also in a space where you're just kind of feeling a little burnt out from Mars and Gemini and just really need to get caught up in a calm and balanced way, Magic Mind is a helpful little ally as it relates to that. Like, I'm telling you guys, Mars and Cancer trining Saturn and Pisces, we are not burning ourselves out any longer. We are working smarter. We are planning in a sustainable longevity way, and Magic Mind is my little sidekick that supports with that. So cheers, my loves. Let's talk about the astrology of this week while I take this shot.
Okay, we are getting into it.
Okay, so cheers, took my shot. We are dialed in. Now let's get into vibe check of the week. So welcome to Vibe Check of the Week, which is a segment here on Magic Monday where we liken all of the astrology aspects of the week ahead, Mars trine Saturn and Venus conjunct Uranus and Mercury conjunct Jupiter. We essentially liken all of those energetics to a real life scenario, so that even if you forget the specifics around what does Uranus mean, what the heck is a conjunction, you can begin to tune into how this energy will come to the surface within your world, practically, tangibly, as you navigate your universe down here on planet Earth. So this week's vibe check feels like a mischievous night with your best friend, okay? And maybe for you, you would sub in your partner, your brother, your sister. I want you to think of a mischievous night with the person who makes you feel like anything is possible and who makes you feel like the world is the two of your oyster. The person that when you're around them, you just feel this mischievous electricity around them, around what can be possible, what should we get into, where should we go, right? So I'm going to paint a picture as I do with my vibe checks, and feel free to sub in the details of what's most resonant for your world. I want you to think, you're at home, okay? You really should be doing your laundry, you really should, but you're just not feeling enthused, it's not feeling exciting. You're like, oh, I'm not totally out of clothes, I could do it tomorrow. You're looking for any excuse to not do it, and you get a call from your friend who's like, girly girl, I just got off work. I'm gonna swing by your house. Let's go do something. And you're like, sure, anything to distract me from what I should be doing. Even though it's a Tuesday night, we have to be at work tomorrow, whatever. Let's get into some mischief, essentially. And they pick you up, and you guys just essentially look out at the night through this lens of potential. And you guys get into the most random activities, the most random adventures. You guys go to the beach, and then they need some stuff at CVS. So you swing by CVS, and then you guys get pancakes at midnight, and then you guys go to this record store, and you have these random conversations. And meanwhile, while you're going from place to place, you guys are like listening to the radio, singing, talking about what it is that you want. Like they're talking about how they want to go back to school. You're talking about how you want to run a half marathon. Keep in mind, we have Mercury conjunct Jupiter. Are all of the ideas and the inspiration and the optimism that we're feeling this week grounded in reality? They are not, but we need that sometimes, okay? We need to spend time with the people who make us feel like anything is possible. And I believe our besties really are typically that, right? Like they really believe that you are capable of anything that you want. And thinking of the person who makes you feel safe to reveal what it is that you want from your future, what it is that you want to work on, as well as with this Venus conjunct Uranus, like being able to look at the world through this lens of spontaneity and playfulness, which I feel, particularly as we get older, sometimes we lose touch with, just in, you know, the routine and all of the tasks and all of the matters, right? And the vibe check feels like this because, you know, there's all this forward momentum, and just like being able to have those nights where there's like electricity in the air and you guys are just mischievous and just thinking about what should we get into, what should we do? It's looking out at the world through this lens of opportunity, right? And that's the Mercury conjunct Jupiter. Through this lens of spontaneity, that's Venus conjunct Uranus, as well as I find personally, those evenings do make me more productive. Like keep in mind, within the vibe check, there was something you should be doing. You should have been doing laundry, okay? But there is something that does renew you about being able to disrupt routine, about being able to spend time with the person who just like hypes you up and makes you feel more confident, right? There is something productive to that. And you can find you return back to your task with this renewed excitement, with this renewed perspective, right? And so I'm gonna go ahead and take us into our day-by-day analysis, our day-by-day breakdown, so we can get more nuance in this energy, what will come up every day as we navigate this week, as well as some other potentialities that these aspects have in store. I want to let you know that all timestamps are available below should you want to jump to a particular day or jump back to a particular day. If I mention a time, it is PDT, so please ensure to adjust to your time zone before putting into your planner, as dependent on where it is that you are located within the world, it may happen the day after, the day prior, or at a different time, so important to pay attention to that. And just so you guys know, Magic Monday is now posted on Sundays, so if you want to get prepared for the week ahead, it's there available for you. I know it feels a little strange that it's posted on Sunday, it's called Magic Monday, but the spirit of Magic Monday remains the same. And honestly, I had this light bulb moment when I was sitting down here to start filming. That's what Uranus sort of weeks are brilliant for, is light bulb moments, random epiphanies, random spontaneous adventures, right? But I was sitting here and I was like, honestly, the shift of posting Magic Monday on Sundays rather than Mondays was truly foretold by essentially the namesake of Magic Monday, the song Manic Monday. Sorry, I'm not a great singer, but just another Magic Monday, oh, oh, wish it was Sunday. The Bengals even wish it was Sunday, okay? Now it is Sunday. I'm out here making dreams come true because that is our fun day. So anyways, you can always find Magic Monday available on Sundays. Now that my Virgo moon and rising has built it into my routine, I'm committed to that. And without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into our daily breakdown. So the astrology of Monday, March 27th is quite productive, right? If we can stay focused and stay on task, which may be a little challenging, but alas, the moon will be in Gemini all day, and it's making some supportive aspects to Chiron in Aries, Jupiter in Aries, Mercury in Aries, its ruler, of course, and its ruler is conjoining Jupiter. So there is all of this forward momentum, right? Moving into this new week with courage and with optimism, and I really just want to anchor in. This is why Magic Monday is called Magic Monday. If we don't like Mondays, we don't like a seventh of our life. Right? And as it relates to Magic Monday, being able to look out at our world through the lens of opportunity around anything could happen, right? Oftentimes as we navigate every day, it feels very regular, but I think the cosmos are a great reminder that things are constantly shifting and changing, evolving. You may have had a March Monday before, but have you had a March Monday with the Gemini moon and Pluto in Aquarius? You have not. And being able to look out at your world through this lens of opportunity and through this lens of growth, certainly with the Gemini moon being open to random talks, random conversations with coworkers at work, honoring new ideas. I mean, that's a really lovely with Mercury, Jupiter, whether you're like kind of planning out Q2 or Q3 or just planning out your life, looking out at the world through this lens of opportunity around what could happen, what my life could be. I will say it's very aligned as it relates to meetings, getting together, socializing. I will say the Gemini moon does square Neptune in Pisces at 6:39 p.m. PDT. So I would recommend being done by that point. As we could find, we're more inclined to want to procrastinate. It puts us into a very dreamy headspace, right? But the beginning of the day is really, really brilliant as it relates to connecting with new individuals, starting a random conversation, texting somebody that you have not heard from in a while, as well as if you do any social media, any sort of marketing. I just find that typically when we have all this Gemini energy, we can find we're more creative, we're more inspired. If you write, anything of that nature, there is just this positive can-do energy as we move into the week, particularly as it relates to connections, our mental space, new ideas, fueling it, right? With Mercury, Jupiter, understanding that the cosmos are giving us this opportunity to infuse our mental space with this optimistic energy. And as it relates to Mercury, Jupiter, making a list around what it is that you want, or new ideas for your company, or new ideas for your role, or even applying. Like there's this energy around putting things out into the world with a sense of optimism, with a sense of excitement, right? And also as it relates to the vibe check, with Mercury squaring Neptune, as I highlighted, this happens at 6:39 p.m. This is the energy that I was talking about where it's like, I want to do this thing, but I'm just looking for any sort of distraction, right? And then a friend calls up and you're like, yes. Absolutely that, right? We can be looking for distractions. We can be wanting to escape. Like it will, while Monday is productive, it's not necessarily productive as it relates to very mundane matters. We're definitely having an eye to the new. It's like, why would I update this spreadsheet when I can dream up these particular ideas? Why would I take care of my tasks now when I can build my tasks for later this week or anything of that nature? Like we can have a very distracted energy. Like let's be real with the Gemini moon, a lot of thoughts, right? But it does feel like with the Gemini moon answering to Mercury on Jupiter, there is this expansiveness by which we are viewing the world. So even though Mercury is kind of like gathered with Jupiter, which again is that hype person, whoever that is in your life, is it your best friend, is it your partner, but the person who's like, you guys are driving around, they're like, yeah, you could do that. They should give you that job right when you walk in. You know how lucky they'd be to have you? Like again, that person who like hypes you up, right? Mercury's gathered with Jupiter, so it is a time to hype up ourselves, hype up our ideas, see the world through this lens of growth. I mean, it's in Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, being able to look at our world through the lens of opportunity and initiative. Doesn't mean everything's perfect, but we are choosing to believe that we can make tomorrow a more beautiful place, which is a beautiful place to be in. And I just paused the video because I don't know what's going on with the lawnmower or the leaf blowers. They keep going, so then I paused the video, take a moment to break, and then they just keep starting again. Like I'm always like, okay, they're almost done, but they're simply not. So I'm just gonna continue on. But essentially with the energy of Aries, it is this energy around initiative, it is this energy around starting things, right? And there's a lot of power towards being a dreamer. Like being a dreamer means you believe that things can be more beautiful than they are currently. And that's a wonderful place to be in. And that's why spending time with those people who make you feel like anything is possible and that you are worthy of what it is that you want is soul medicine, right? Because oftentimes we can feel so limited and restricted by how things are now. And with Mercury, Jupiter, it's not to say that every single idea that we will launch out will manifest beautifully, but we are choosing to believe that we can make the world a better place for ourselves, for those around us. We are choosing to look at the lens of growth, through the lens of what could be, of where it is that we could find meaning. And I find this fascinating because over the weekend we had Mercury conjunct Chiron. So Jupiter and Chiron are gathered together. I do want to let you know I did a deep dive all signs video that you'll want to check out about that conjunction. It's involved in next week's Libra full moon, so you'll want to understand what's coming to the surface within your universe. But alas, it's fascinating that Mercury, which is our mental processes, is gathered, separating from Chiron and conjoining to Jupiter. It just feels like that in-between space around which voice you listen to, right? Like they always say, you know, like, would you talk to your best friend the way you talk to yourself? Probably not, right? We're all so mean to ourselves. And with Mercury Chiron, it's like, are you going to listen to the stories of your woundings, of why you're not good enough, of why things like that don't happen to you? Or are you going to listen to the story of growth around what could happen? You kind of get to choose because Mercury is sandwiched between the two, right? And when it comes to Jupiter aspects, I know a lot of astrologers say it's overrated, say it's overhyped. I love Jupiter, obviously. I'm Jupiter ruled, or rather my sun is Jupiter ruled. And so I love Jupiter, but I think when it comes to Jupiter, it is something that you sort of have to like constructively chisel and constructively feed and fueling this optimism, fueling this ability to be able to look out at the world through this lens of opportunity, right? You know, Jupiter doesn't, you know, march into your bedroom when you're lying in bed and give you everything that you've wanted. It can, if you work with it, provide you with optimism and growth and seeing of opportunities, seeing of ideas in everything. My best friend in this world is an Aries, and I lived with her for a long time. I would come home and there would be like pine cones all over. There would be sticks all over. It was very interesting. And it was like most people would just see the pine cones and see pine cones, right, when they're walking by them on the side of the road. But she saw art. She wanted to make like a pine cone tree. Other people saw sticks. She saw this beautiful like art thing. I don't even know. It was very abstract. It was very abstract. But I do remember with the sticks, she put them on the wall in a formation. Again, it's regular, right? It's sticks, it's pine cones, it's things that we kick, it's things that we walk by. But it takes being a dreamer and being able to spot opportunity to be able to look at something ordinary and see growth or see what could be. And that's what I'm saying is important with Mercury on Jupiter, is to consciously feed those ideas of optimism and growth within your universe consciously, right? And consistently. And so with Mercury departing Chiron, conjoining Jupiter, it's really asking, are you choosing to see the world around the lens of what has not worked out for you, where it is that you feel like you are flawed, where it is that you feel that you are not good enough, or through this lens around what could be? With Mercury sandwiched between the two, it's up to you. And to me, this feels like the vibe check, because it's like, are you going to listen to the voice within you that, you know, tells you that, no, you shouldn't go outside because, you know, you should probably save money, or no, like you need to finish all your tasks because that's the only time you can have fun is when everything's done, right? Listening to that loop within you, or listen to the energy of Jupiter, which is like the excitement of your friend being like, girl, let's hang out, let's go out, get into some mischief, let's do something, right? The world is our oyster if we choose to see it as such. You could be like, girl, what's the plan? What's possibly out there that's not in here? But with Mercury, Jupiter, it's believing that magic could happen, right? It's believing that this Monday, which may feel ordinary, can be something that is magical because you're making it magic. And I will say, while Monday is aligned as it relates to adventure, just new ideas, with Mercury squared Neptune, certainly be mindful of procrastination, be mindful of escapism, be mindful of, you know, wanting to, you know, indulge in a couple extra glasses of wine or anything of that nature. Very aligned for escaping into a movie, art museum, adventure. Again, it's answering to Mercury building to conjoin Jupiter. So being able to infuse the world through this lens of what could be, right? And with the square to Neptune, our headspace can be in a more dreamy, sensitive place, right? So maybe for my creatives, this is a time to, you know, write or jot down some new ideas or anything of that nature. Like, it's so fascinating this week because we have this inspired energy, and then also with Mars trine Saturn, being able to kind of put it into framework, because it can be quite challenging. I just had a consultation with a creative yesterday, and she's like, I have so many ideas. I have 5 ideas every time I'm in the shower, but it's hard to work that muscle around making them into reality. And that's why this week's astrology is so positive, all this forward momentum, but we actually have to do the work, right? We have to sit down and write. We have to gather the sticks to make the artwork, right? It doesn't just find us, but this is a powerful week around chiseling that muscle, showing up with this optimistic, creative energy and making it real, making it reality. Even though Mercury square Neptune can make us be like a little sleepy or a little out of it or a little like, I'll do it tomorrow. So all I want to say is, with the Mercury on Jupiter, nurture mentally what it is that you want to grow within your world, and nurture the stories around that you are confident, that you are worthy of your desires. Like, literally, how would your best friend, how would your partner talk to you? Probably not in the way that you talk to yourself, right? No one believes in you more than your best friend does, or at least nobody believes in me more than my best friend does. Like, they literally think that I should have whatever it is that I want within this world, because your best friend sees all of your qualities, which is why spending time with those people is so good for the soul. So talk to yourself as, you know, your person would talk to you. They would not be as mean or as critical on you as you would, right? They would want the best for you. They want you to go for the half marathon. They want you to go back to school. They want you to make that artwork with pine cones. I mean, it was always interesting coming home, seeing all these pine cones, being like, girl, why do we have pine cones in our house? But, you know, she would turn it into something. And I believed in the vision. Even when it was a bunch of pine cones, I was like, girl, I see you have a plan. So on Tuesday, March 28th, the moon enters Cancer at 3:22 a.m. and the 28th is the first quarter moon. For our dreams, our intentions that we thought about during the Aries new moon, which again was potentiality, what could be, what could be, what could be, we need to make it happen, okay? We need to make it happen. And that's what the first quarter moon is sort of guiding us towards. Now, the energetic of a first quarter moon is about the overcoming of challenges and of, you know, crises, like that first kind of issue in the vision, right? Like, for example, your friend picks you up and you guys are like, let's go get pancakes, and the pancake place you guys like is closed, right? Are you guys gonna recommit and be like, let's go somewhere else? Or are you guys gonna give up? Just be like, forget it, let's just go inside. Same with your initiatives. You might have had this vision last week around a new, you know, career that you want to start, or a new thing that you wanted to make. And with first quarter, it's like, when things get real, do you rise above or do you give up? Like that is the vibe, right? And like I've said, not everything that we are launching into existence at this moment is going to manifest beautifully. Again, the cosmic circumstances are beautiful. They are aligned, but the energy of Aries isn't always about maintaining, okay? It is the energy of starting, and our desires will lead us in some interesting directions. But with this first quarter moon, it's essentially the first time in which we have this choice around, okay, am I gonna give up on this intention, or am I gonna dig my heels in higher or in deeper? And whether it relates to literally what you intended last week, or it's just a callback to last week, there's essentially an energy where things can feel a little bit tougher, or a little bit more challenging, or something in the nature, and we need to choose whether we are going to rise above or give up, right? Like my friend, you know, putting the pine cone art together, if they weren't sticking or something, and you know, does she give up on the vision, or does she dig her heels in to find a solution? The choice is up to you, right? And I also want to say there is some, you know, emotions, and there is a tendency perhaps to act on our emotions as the moon enters Cancer and then builds to conjoin Mars at 6:19 a.m. I want to share, if you are a morning workout person, Tuesday is brilliant for that. I mean, Tuesday is Mars Day. The moon meets up with Mars. It's such a powerful way to sort of like channel this moon Mars energy, because the downside of moon Mars is we can be more reactive, right? We could be more emotional and kind of like lash out. Keep in mind, we are in Aries season, so people are a little bit more fiery. They're a little bit more impulsive. They will let you know what is up, right? That's the other side of Mercury on Jupiter. It can join the evening prior, but because it happened so close to midnight, we'll likely feel remnants of it on Monday as well. With Mercury, Jupiter, the thing is, people talk a lot, right? When you're driving with your best friend, you're talking a lot. You're saying you're gonna run a half marathon. You're saying you're gonna do this, that, and the other. You don't do it all, okay? So do be conscious of, you know, salespeople or anything of that nature. Like, it's a lot of hot air. Sometimes we need hot air to believe in ourselves, right? And to believe in life, and believe in that life can be an amazing place. But just take what it is that you're hearing with a grain of salt, okay? And I highlight this because with Moon Mars, there is an energy in which we can be a little bit more reactive or a little bit more impulsive. With Moon, it's our emotional space. And with Mars, we can feel like we are to an upper level, that we are taking action from this very responsive, heart-centered, shrewd place, right, with the Cancer energy. But on the downside, we can feel like we are lashing out a little bit more with the Aries energy, okay? We can feel like we are being more impatient as it relates to things. So when it comes to Moon Mars, I would definitely say connect to your physical body, okay? First thing in the morning, it's Mars Day, Moon Mars, move some energy. It can also help with your emotions, honestly, moving some physical energy. If you have any frustration, putting it into something physically can be very aligned, and just being mindful as you navigate morning time, or whatever time it will be when it exacts for you. Because with Moon Mars, the other side of Aries, because keep in mind, all of the Aries placements are answering to Mars in Cancer. The downside of this is that when it relates to people on the road, like we can just be very impatient, right? And with Moon Mars, let's be real, Cancer is the crab, a little crabby, okay? A little crabby. So whether this has to do with the people within your world just being a little bit more snappy, people on the highway being a little bit more snappy, with the energy of Aries, we are not holding back, okay? Everything needs to happen yesterday, and we're a little bit more crabby. I will say though, outside of that, the potential downfalls around people just being a little bit more reactive emotionally, right? Because it's so funny when Moon meets up with Mars, and Mars is answering to the Moon, because it's like feeling an emotion, wanting to act on it immediately. Again, this can be very powerful around, what is it? You see what I mean? They keep stopping and starting. I'm glad I stopped pausing, because we would be here all day. These leaves aren't gonna blow themselves, or whatever the heck this person is doing. So fun living in the city. Anyways, so with Moon Mars, there is this energy around an emotional stimuli comes in, and we want to react on it immediately, okay? Like, so we could just find we're a little bit more impulsive, a little bit more reactive. Like someone says something, reacting right away. There's no gap time. And that's why I was sort of highlighting like the following day. I mean, we're still feeling it certainly with where Mercury is located currently, but the gap time around, with Mercury separating from Chiron, around, are we going to think of ourselves in the ways that we always have, think of, our day in the ways that we always have around not good enough, I shouldn't go out or whatever, or am I going to choose this energy of growth and opportunity? Like, again, finding that gap time, because when we have Chiron energy, again, this exacted last week, you can check out the Magic Monday for more details, but essentially striving to find that gap time, whether it's like a thought comes up and you're like, well, I'm not good enough, or I'm so flawed, or I'm so weird for these reasons, or I'm not good enough as them, or what have you, and finding that gap time around, okay, that thought is coming to the surface, but I'm not going to identify it. I'm going to choose to kind of nurture the thoughts around, I'm learning, I'm excited by this new opportunity, this feels good for me to put energy towards this. Finding that gap so we don't kind of like slip into those old kind of mental patterns around seeing the world through the lens around how it is that we are not good enough. And I highlight this simply because with Moon, Mars, the gap time is slim. We can use this positively around taking action around what it is that we want or what it is that we feel. This is shrewd mama bear energy, wanting to protect who and what it is that we hold dear, as well as wanting to nurture what is heart-centered to us, right? Like, I've been sharing this a lot in my live classes, but I'm like, with the energy of Aries, it's okay to be a little selfish. Things are a little wild. The astrology is a little wild right now. And again, it's that balance around staying informed, but also understanding like you are the center of your universe. And so you need to protect your energy, and you need to do whatever you need to keep peace in your heart and peace in your mind. You need to stay close to the people who feel like sunshine or make you feel like the world can be a beautiful place, right? You need to do those pieces of what brings you into a calm, peaceful state of being, because that's going to be really important as we move into this new paradigm. Again, I'm not saying things are going to be seamless. It does feel quite chaotic, but all I'm saying is that with the energy I was talking about last week of like Pluto and Aquarius and like a new generation of leaders kind of like way showing for us to kind of guide and anchor in this new paradigm, it's deeply important that we are not kind of slipping into this energy of fear, right? That we are choosing to, with the Mercury Jupiter, see the world through this lens of growth and what could be, and doing whatever we need in order to ensure that we are in a calm, peaceful state of being, okay? Because that's going to be really important in the care and keeping of you. And I say this because Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It is the sign of self. So it is safe for you to pull back and focus on yourself at this time, okay? It's safe, it is not selfish to focus on yourself. You are the center of your solar system, okay? You need to do what it is that you need. And just with the energy of Pisces, taking on this, that, and the other's emotions, with the energy of Aries, it's safe for you to draw back energy, especially if you're feeling overwhelmed by all that's going on. It is safe for you to take a little pause from social media. It is safe for you to not worry about the office place drama in order to pay attention to your own work. Just do you. It's essentially the vibe. And with Moon Mars, people can be a little bit more reactive. Focusing on yourself this Aries season, it is not selfish. And on Tuesday, it is very productive. I mean, with Moon Mars, it's giving energy towards what is internally personal to us, right? With the energy in Cancer. And then there's a trine to Saturn in Pisces. Thinking long-term, building, nurturing the project, right? Like, Cancer and Capricorn, essentially we always think of like business success as Capricorn. Both Cancer and Capricorn, they're in the same axis, is why I'm connecting them. They're both very successful, but in different ways. Cancer is more the side of success that is very shrewd, that's very security oriented around protecting what is near and dear to us. Capricorn is more so about building into the future, right? And they both have strengths, and we oftentimes just as a society put more weight on Capricorn themes rather than Cancer. They both have a role, right? And with the energy of Cancer, it really is this energy around wanting to nurture the projects of what are dear to us. And I always say, I'm like, with Capricorn, success is building a house, right? Whereas with Cancer, success is nurturing a garden. It's attuning to what is. It's this more nurturing process, right? About noticing which leaves are drooping and watering them and being present as it relates to the process, ensuring all the pieces are dialed in, right? Both are successful, just different ways of approaching it, right? And with Moon Mars, there is this energy, this burst of energy around nurturing a project that is near and dear to us, that is sacred to our own being, that is important as it relates to our own internal landscape. And knowing that it's, safe for you to hone in on a passion project, even if you're not sure if other people will care, just being like, well, this feels good for me to make, so I'm going to continue to make it. There's something very sacred about this sort of energy. And again, on Tuesday, not all of us will necessarily have the day off to just like work on our passion project, but I will say on Tuesday, there is this energy around nurturing the process with the energy of Saturn, wanting your energy to work, smarter and not harder. Feeling that energy of the Aries sun, because the Cancer moon does square the Aries sun, that's the official first quarter moon. does happen later that night, feeling that impatience or that rushing energy of Aries, but choosing to just nurture the process, right? So whether this is a boss who's trying to like micromanage you, choosing to really just be present with the energy of Saturn, thinking long-term with what it is that you're investing your energy into. Maybe it's even just like taking an hour to build in a framework that's going to simplify your time moving forward. Again, it's its own superpower. It's nurturing, it's heart-centered, it's emotional, and with the trine to Saturn, it's thinking long-term with things, which again, sometimes with the Aries energy, we can burn ourselves out thinking like everything needs to be immediate. With the Cancer moon, it's like, okay, let me give to work today without burning myself out, right? Let me ensure that I'm putting my energy towards what is the most strategic long-term. That is really the gift on Tuesday. With the square to the Aries sun, we can be feeling impatient. Go slow, nurture the process, be present for the process. So on Wednesday, the 29th, I have good news and I have bad news. Do you like getting the good news first or the bad news first? I typically like getting the bad news first, just so we have something to look forward to. So the bad news is that the Cancer moon is beefing with all these Aries placements, okay? Which, like I said, you know, it's emotionally reactive. It can be volatile, right? Like Aries and Cancer are both cardinal signs. Cardinal signs are concerned with action. Aries acts, right, cardinal from a fiery place, right? Self-initiative. Whereas Cancer acts cardinal from an emotional space, which is why Cancer is the archetypal mom, which is why it's a very nurturing, you know, responsive energy. It tunes in to the shifts and changes all around us, which is why with Mars and Cancer, we can feel that our energy levels are quite fluctuating. They are quite up and down. And so with the energy of the Cancer moon, beefing with Chiron and Aries, Mercury and Jupiter, there can be an energy of impatience, certainly, whether it's you're being impatient around this should be happening faster for me, why is this taking so long, or other people being impatient with you. Again, slow and steady is the vibe this week. It's a very productive week, okay? This is a super productive week, but don't allow people to rush you. Be present for the process, okay? Or don't allow yourself to rush you as well. Be present. Like the vibe that we're sinking into is sustainable, longevity-focused working hours, okay? Don't let people make you go faster, and just be wary of, you know, things that seem too good to be true. If it's too good to be true, it is, okay? If it seems too good to be true, it absolutely is, because the Cancer moon squares off with Mercury and Jupiter. Remember what I said about people talking a big game? This can really come to the surface on Wednesday. So if someone's trying to sell you something, okay, take it with a grain of salt. You know, with Venus and Taurus, ask to see receipts, right? Ground down into the matter, and also honor your intuition, right? Your intuition will tell you if someone is, you know, full of it, right? And a lot of times with Mercury, Jupiter, people are talking a big game. You know, if you've ever been on a date or been on an interview of somebody who like really feels like they are and you just like internally are like, you actually don't feel like you're that. So that's why you need to talk about it all the time. You want validation because you don't feel powerful, right? Like with the Cancer moon, honor your intuition, whether it's, you know, you're conducting interviews or interviewing and something feels off, honor that, right? You know, with Mercury, Jupiter, a lot of people's words this week can be full of hot air, which again, sometimes we need that space to just drive in the car and talk with our best friend around all the things that we're going to do. Who knows if we're going to do them? Sometimes we just need to put out new ideas into the world because at least something's going somewhere, right? At least we feel like we're moving forward in some way, right? And with the Cancer moon, just being wary of that. There are some really great romance aspects. We'll talk about it in a moment. But what I'll say is if you're ever on a date and this person's telling you all of these things that you're like, I don't know if this is true. But what I'll say is, you know, pay attention to people's actions. Pay attention to how it is that they make you feel, right? Because what is it they say, you know, this week, it's really not saying too much, okay? And also, I just want to say with, you know, Cancer moon, Mercury and Aries, you could just feel this battle from the head of the heart. My head says I should do this. My heart says I should do this. What should I do? And all I want to say is there's a lot of forward momentum around moving towards the new, right? And with Cancer moon, we want to anchor into what is safe. With Mars and Cancer, we want to act from a place that is safe, which again is why it's so responsive, why it's so nurturing. While it is a superpower within itself around nurturing and giving towards what is near and dear, do be conscious around the Cancer moon desire to return back to what is safe, even if it is not good for you, okay? With Cancer moon, there can be a tendency to be nostalgic about the past. And again, choosing this new paradigm that we're moving into rather than old, you know, eras of our life, old stories with Mercury separating with Chiron. That'll only be a message for a couple people, but an energy I want you to be wary of nonetheless. And then here's the good news. here's the good news. So the Cancer moon sextiles Venus in Taurus, and it sextiles Uranus in Taurus as they're building to conjoin the following day. And the moon sextiles Venus in the morning time. Now this is so powerful because both the moon and Venus are in their signs of rulership. The moon governs Cancer and Venus governs Taurus. So they are mooning and Venusing very strong. That's why I'm saying there's a lot of initiative, forward momentum, but it feels like it's coming from a very heart-centered place around something that feels good to us, right? That's why, like in the vibe check, it's not necessarily going to a party with a bunch of people, but the person that you just feel safe around, right? You just feel at ease. There's almost like kind of this feminine quality as it relates to this astrology around, yes, this new start, but not burning ourselves out, right? With Mercury, Jupiter, maybe we're talking a big game, but we're just honing in on what is the most important towards us. Maybe we are taking these spontaneous moments to be like, I don't want to approach this task from this energy of force. I'm gonna flow with where life is taking me and then return back when I do feel inspired. Like there is something magic within that. And with Cancer moon sextile Venus and Taurus, this is lovely as it relates to making something delicious for breakfast, being present, right, in the creation of the breakfast. This could be an energy around eating something delicious, having a nice like coffee date with somebody, maybe working on something that's heart-centered. And then with the Cancer moon sextiling Uranus and Taurus, being open to new ideas, right? Hearing somebody out on the lunch date, hearing somebody out in the pitch, but also knowing with the Cancer moon, you know, squaring Chiron, Mercury, and Jupiter, people might be full of hot air. Let the actions of those around you and your heart do the talking here, right? Like if something feels off, it most likely is, okay? Like mentally, if you're trying to tell yourself, well, you know, they are the successful business owner, they just had to borrow $20 just because their money is all tied up in assets, like, pay attention, be discerning, attune to your intuition, okay? Believe people's actions and believe your intuition. Do not believe their words. Because again, with Chiron in the mix, people can be sort of over talking or being boisterous because they aren't feeling powerful. So again, see through it and choose not to participate. Again, it's not selfish to just draw back the energy towards yourself because a lot of energy's off. So on Thursday, we do kind of get off to a sleepy start, or at least a dreamy start. Now, it's gifted in some ways. The Cancer moon is obviously in rulership, trining Neptune, so our dreams could have been, you know, intense. We can be more inclined towards our intuition, as well as what I love with Moon Neptune is it's just finding those little moments of beauty. I find people who have strong Neptune, it's like so beautiful. Like they are the souls, you know, who can see art in pine cones, right? They are the souls where they can be inspired by really random things as they like navigate their world. They view the world very cinematically or very artistically, right? Breathing magic into the mundane, whether it's even just being able to, you know, see the way that the sun hits on the leaves just so, or the way that that individual in the grocery store, you know, called out for her son and you could just feel all the love that was in her voice. Whatever it is, those little moments that of inspiration essentially. But the downside of this is that with Moon Neptune, we can find we're just getting carried away in art, right? Like listening to music, getting ready, and then being like, oh, holy cow, I have a meeting in 20 minutes or what have you. We're a little dreamy, we're a little out there, we're not necessarily that grounded, which again, has a time and a place. There honestly is a lot of productive energy on Thursday, but not in the morning time because we have that closing aspect of Moon trine Neptune, which is daydream city, right? Daydreaming about all the things, not really necessarily doing them, but we'll do them shortly. Then the moon's void from 6:35 to 3:31. Okay, so that's a long dreamy space. You can find your dreams are out there. It's not unproductive to dream, right? We just want to make sure we're taking action from it because after the moon trines Neptune, Mars trines Saturn, which again is the energy where I'm saying it's productive, but it's not burning ourselves out. It's nurturing ourselves, it's nurturing the process rather than being all scattered and antsy like Mars and Gemini was. With the stabilizing force of Saturn and Pisces, this is really amazing if you want to kind of like plan your goals for your business, right? This is really aligned if you want to find work processes that streamline, right, your workflow, like those little pieces that you do for your business that save you so much time. There's been so many things where I'm like, I don't have time to spend 45 minutes to figure out how to make my software do that, but then I do it and it saves me hours of my life, right? Just investing that time, like things like that. Energy around working smarter, thinking long-term, and not working harder. You know, when it comes to Mars trine Saturn, really thinking long-term around, okay, where am I investing my energy? Is it firstly honoring myself and what's sacred to me, right? Am I putting energy towards my passion project, right, that fills up my cup, right? Or am I just giving all of my energy towards others, as well as am I overworking myself, right? With Mars Mars in Cancer, it is a reminder around sustainable success is nurturing yourself. It's nurturing the process. Like, you might be able to get a lot done saying yes to everyone, and for a while it'll work to be everything to everybody and have everything on your plate, but you will burn out. You'll burn out so quick. Like I shared earlier in this video, you know, I've been busy before. I've always had many things going. That's how my energy kind of thrives, is doing multiple things. And I always was able to maintain it, right? I always was able to. Like, I've always been busy. I'm kind of always stressed out. That's kind of always my baseline, but I was always manageable, or at least it was always doable, right? Like, I always was able to pull it out. But there is a certain point when you've been digging into your reserves for so long, you can't any longer. It's so strange, because I've always been like, you know, you don't need sleep, keep going, and it's fine. And like, to me, sleep, whatever, like, it's fine. I can work through it. I'll bounce back. Energy is typically pretty renewable, and maybe it's getting older, but I'm not able to bounce back from all-nighters as quickly. And it also is just getting tiresome. And you can only do that for so long. And I used to just be like, I've got this. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. But when you keep digging into the reserves, everything has a price. You pay the price. And you may not think you're paying the price if you're burning the candle at both ends, if you're over capacity. You may not think you are paying the price, but somewhere you are paying the price. And maybe it's because I'm in my Saturn return or whatever, but I'm just really seeing the consequences of what I've put my body through within the last 8 years. Because like I said, my body would always bounce back. My energy would always bounce back. No sleep, no problem. Forgot to eat, whoopsies. No problem, no problem, no problem. You pay for it somewhere. And with Mars in Cancer, we're just not wanting to operate from that space, right? Of being very scattered or overstimulated. With Mars in Cancer, it's like, what would it look like for me to prioritize my own emotional state firstly, and to build my ideal reality with the trine to Saturn in honoring of that. So like with Mars trine Saturn, if you relate to anything that I'm sharing and you also work for yourself or are at a job where you're able to have some control over these matters, with Mars trine Saturn, plan your ideal day, okay? And in a healthy, nurturing way for yourself. And building your business around that place, right? Like, would you want, you know, an hour in the morning? Is that your ideal time? Or maybe an hour at night? And with trine to Saturn, these shifts are more sustainable in the long run. Like I said, with that working smarter, not harder, taking that 45 minutes to find something in your software that saves you hours down the line, those minutes add up. Sometimes we have to put in that work in order to chisel something in order for us to get to the finish line, right? And not like burn out, you know, halfway. Because also on the topic of burnout, like, you see the world differently when you're burnt out. You're not able to see the opportunity and growth because you feel over capacity, right, of what it is that you can physically take on. And you might think, I need to do it all and that's what's gonna make me win. No, 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 no. Allocating your energy mindfully and optimally is what's gonna let you win. Like, it is a marathon, my love. It is not a sprint. And if you too have been sprinting, right, this energy to be like, okay, I'm tired, I'm drained. What is my pace going to be so that I can get to the finish line of my goals? Because I'm telling you, it's not sprinting the entire time. We need to allocate our energy better, and Mars trine Saturn is a reminder of that, of what is going to allocate my energy in order to get me to the finish line. So really, with Mars in Cancer, trine Saturn in Pisces, the ask is this: how is it that we can allocate our energy towards building something of longevity, of lasting value, of allocating our energy sustainably, so that we're able to accommodate the fluctuations of our energy levels, of our emotions, right? Mars is not dignified in Cancer. And as we embark upon life, we are not robots. Like, how can we allocate our energy so that if we need, you know, a night off to go goof around with our best friend, our schedule allows that? How can we build our business in that way? How can we allocate our work hours in that way to ensure that we're building something that we can get to the finish line of, right? Which is not necessarily going full throttle every second of the day. With Mars trining Saturn, it's very hardworking. I feel that some people, the ask here is being able to take the ideas and the creativity that you have and turn it into substance, right? With Mars trine Saturn. For some of you, there is an ask around being a little bit kinder to yourself, more compassionate, and building your energy forward in a sustainable way. So some may be asked to kind of dial energy back in order to give to yourself. Some will be asked to ramp it up in order to nurture a heart-centered project. And on the same day, Venus conjoins Uranus, which is that playful, spontaneous energy that I was talking about. This is really powerful as it relates to love, but again, there's definitely different sides of it. If you are single with Venus on Uranus, this is an amazing time to invite in the new as it relates to love. Go on a date with somebody who's outside your typical type. Because sometimes our type is not what is good for us. Okay, go out with somebody who's outside of your typical type, right? With Venus on Uranus, it can be, you know, going out to socialize, being open to meeting and connecting with new souls, new individuals. If you are in a relationship, this would be a time for a really spontaneous date night, certainly. I will say with the energy of Uranus, we can be craving a change. Now, I'm not saying it's breakup season. That's not what I'm saying. But we can be craving a change, whether it's wanting more space to be able to do our own thing outside of the connection, like get back to who it is that we are outside of just our relationship. Maybe this is like having a night off to just do your own thing, hang out with your friends, right? We tend to crave a little bit more space when it comes to Venus Uranus. So all I want to say is if your lover is acting a little strange on Thursday, blame it on Uranus and keep it moving. We all need a space to do our own thing, to be creative, to have our own lives. It doesn't say anything about you. It doesn't say anything about the connection. People just need space to be able to do their own thing. Like, we can get burnout with anything, right? That's why balance is so important. And moving into the Libra full moon next week, it is a reminder of that, right? Like, we need to balance out the time that we spend working with the time that we spend playing. We need to balance out the time that we spend in our relationship with time with our friends. Like, everything in balance, right? And with Mars trine Saturn, it's asking, what are we putting our energy towards building, right? Towards the future, and how are we doing so sustainably? Because it's like being attached to the hip, living, breathing, doing everything together. That's not the most sustainable pathway forward. Obviously, you want to spend lots of time with your partner, but you also need to honor your interests and your hobbies on your own, right? And as it relates to love relationships with Venus Uranus, it is lovely to infuse some spontaneity. Maybe you guys need to balance the routine of staying in with going out every so often. There's a whole world out there, guys. There is an entire world out there. So if you are like me and you've been spending a lot of time indoors and a friend calls you and is like, I don't know what the plan is, but let's go somewhere, say yes. It's fascinating, this week's astrology, because it's like, say yes, but with Venus in Taurus, Mars in Cancer, we might be more inclined to want to explore when we're with somebody that we feel a little safe around or something of that nature. So whether it's, you know, being with your best friend and saying yes to the party, or going on a double date, so you have your comfort person, but also, you know, infusing new into your life. There's a balance between inviting the novel into our life while grounding down into what it makes us feel safe. So Thursday is super aligned as it relates to date nights, inviting in the new as it relates to the love factor of Venus, but that's not all Venus is about, okay? Venus is also about money. So random money events can happen, whether we observe this collectively or individually. And again, whenever I talk about Uranus, it's not necessarily good nor bad, it's just unpredictable. So, you know, sometimes unpredictable money stuff can be a random bill that you're like, where did this come from? Or a random check, where did this come from, right? But also with Venus Uranus, we can be a little bit more erratic with our spending, or like impulsive with our spending, right? Like just wanting to feel something. So going out with your friend and going to CVS and extreme couponing, or what have you, whatever it is that you like to spend money on, with Venus Uranus, we can be a little bit more erratic as it relates to it. Also with Venus Uranus, you might be craving something different as it relates to your style. I mean, Venus is very strong in Taurus, so definitely support, like it is supported, honestly. Trying something new, trying a new aesthetic, trying some new makeup, something of that nature. And Venus is also our leisure. So again, with Venus on Uranus, be open to the new. If you want to take a cake baking class, if you want to try that new restaurant, like this is just a really aligned time to stay open towards life. And yes, there's this hardworking energy, but it's not a week to stay holed away, working and burning yourself out, right? Like, you see the world differently when it's all work. You need to be able to balance it with the external world. And sometimes you gain inspiration from the most unlikely places, the people that you connect with, and the murals that you see, and the talks that you have with your friend. You never know the perspective that saying yes will give. So Thursday is aligned for that. And I want to share an anecdote that really illuminates this. So I've been leaving a lot to the wire, to like the deadline of what needs to be done, simply because there's only so many hours in the day, and it's just like obscene. It's like every single day I wake up and I'm like, what deadline do I need to hit today? It's like fight or flight. Like every single day I'm just flailing, just trying to get everything done. So it's very hard, if you can relate, it's very hard to get ahead on things when every single day it's like, oh, there's 5 more deadlines Cool. So anyway, so I've been in that space. Again, it shan't stay this longer. I really do have plans around how I'm going to allocate my energy better, truly. But anyways, it was a Saturday, had some consults, taught a class in the morning, and then I had to edit Magic Monday. It's, needs to be uploaded by Sunday. So I was really cutting it to the wire because it takes time to export and upload and all of the things. And my friend calls me, even though I should have been editing, I was just sitting there. I was like, I do not want to edit right now. My friend calls me and she's like, girl, I need to get outside. It's beautiful out. So she picks me up and we just had the most fun day. And again, there was like this just spontaneous vibe in the air. We were just like, what mischief can we get into? And again, I didn't want to edit. I was like, girl, I'm looking for any excuse. I will do it tonight. I will pull all-nighter, whatever. I do not care. We went to the beach. We colored. We went out to dinner and there was this major event in my neighborhood with like all of these people there. I don't even know. It was wild. But we were open. We ran into so many people. I actually ran into the people who sold me this chair. I found it at a yard sale and they were there at the restaurant we were at. And again, there was just this lighthearted, mischievous vibe. We were just like, what should we get into? We were just mischievous. We were just lighthearted. We were just having fun. We were like having just this playful night out. And let me tell you, I returned home and I finished editing faster than I have prior. Sometimes we need to give ourselves a disruption to the routine in order to return back to our work tasks in a more renewed, inspired way, right? So that's why oftentimes when we're burnt out and just chugging through all our work tasks, like, gotta keep going. Sometimes the most productive thing that you can do is take a break, take a disruption to the routine. Sometimes it could be very inspiring if you work in something creative to see some different stimuli, to do something different and to return back to your work when you do feel inspired. Again, that is sustainability. Sustainability is building essentially a work life that allows you those moments of spontaneity, those moments of fun, those moments of excitement. I will say, well, I want you to say yes. Venus, Uranus can make us a little restless, in the mood for new things, new conversations, new people all day long, truly. I did highlight Thursday as a date night, which I stand by, but I will say there can be some injection of some intense feelings, right? The moon enters Leo at 3:31 and it promptly opposes Pluto, who's now in Aquarius. There can be some intensity brewing, whether it's within your emotional state or what have you. Like when I was sitting here editing, I was just like, girl, just do this, just do this, just do this. So when an invitation came in that got me out of my frame of mind, I was like, yes, distraction, let me do something different, right? So for some of you with moon opposite Pluto, getting around some new stimuli could be helpful if you're kind of feeling like you're in an obsessive mind state. For some, it should just be reacting to the collective sort of themes that we are seeing with Pluto and Aquarius. But you can be feeling things intensely, banging your head against the computer trying to edit, or you could be feeling things intensely when you're driving around with your best friend and singing along to Cher on the radio. You get to choose. On Friday, the 31st, the moon is in Leo, trining the Aries sun. So this is the true waxing gibbous moon, and we have a lot of fire in the cosmos, and there's a lot of creativity in the cosmos. With the Aries sun exalted, trining Leo moon, who's answering to the exalted Aries sun, we're in the mood to express ourselves, right? We're in the mood to be our own person. So Friday would definitely be the day, Venus day. Venus is in Taurus, in rulership. This is the time to look good, feel good. Truly, Thursday or Friday would be my picks for date night with that Venus-Uranus kind of conjunction building, especially something outside of the typical, right? And something with the Leo moon where you feel confident, you're in the mood to be perceived, you're in the mood to be out and about, right? Be out in the world, right? Like you are way too cute to stay cooped up, okay? It's time to be outside. And again, with Leo moon opposing Pluto and Aquarius, I know things can feel out of control, a lot can feel chaotic, but you can't let it keep you from living, okay? And Friday is a day to live. So with the Aries sun trining Leo moon aligned to grow creative initiatives, waxing gibbous is about editing and refining the details. So maybe some of you are bucketing some time towards art projects, business projects. I'm telling you, there's a confidence here. There's a confidence, there's a creative energy around expressing and sharing your own unique light, okay, which is going to radiate differently than others, and also not being too terribly concerned what other people have to say about it, how it is that you're being perceived, right? With the trine to Chiron, it's that energy around I don't really care what people think about me. I don't really care if they like what it is that I'm doing. All I know is that it feels good to create, right? It feels good to share. When I was out and about, right, I had some conversations, and a lot of times I would be like in my head, like, girl, you were so awkward when you ran into the chair guy. Did you even bring up the chair? What did you even talk about? You were rambling. But this energy is like, I said whatever it was that I needed to say at that particular moment. It was a fine interaction. You're being in your head. There's just an energy with the trine to Chiron or separating from Mercury. So not being so in our head about things, just allowing interactions to be what they are. And if you're somebody who kicks yourself after conversations where you're like, oh my gosh, why did I say that? That was so awkward. I guarantee they didn't think it was awkward. Everybody's absorbed in their own minds all of the time. They are not thinking about you. And again, this Aries season, give yourself permission to be absorbed within your own universe, within your own creations. People are not thinking about you, okay? They are not worried about you. And with the trine to Chiron, it's like, I'm just gonna do what it is that I want. I'm gonna be who it is that I am. Maybe some of you are gonna assert yourself as it relates to work, as it relates to a creative project. Maybe some of you are gonna be feeling yourself in regards to a creative project. There is just this energy around owning who it is that you are, refining and editing this momentum. And again, there's a lot of productive energy this week, okay? And that I want you to seize. I want you to feel yourself, hype yourself up. Talk to yourself like your best friend in the car would talk to you, okay? So the astrology for Saturday, honestly, the astrology for this entire weekend, I would cancel all of your plans. I would stay inside, stay under the covers, even shut the windows, shut the blinds. This astrology, I'm just not into it. And I think we're just gonna wrap it here because there's truly nothing to say. So I'll see you guys next week, and until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay magical. April Fools, gotcha. Did I get ya? Did I get ya? Guys, you'll never catch me seriously saying on this channel to not go outside. I still believe, even if the astrology is challenging, we need to still live. We still need to interact with life, right? Astrology should be something that allows us to live more fully and with more depth, right? Not something that we use to try to circumvent anything that could potentially be uncomfortable or lead us towards growth. So you'll never catch me saying that seriously on my channel. This weekend's astrology isn't that crazy. Reinstate the plans if you sent a frantic text like, Magic Monday said stay indoors. I will never say that. But anyways, so Saturday, April 1st, I would actually say quite the opposite. Like, you could crave a disruption to the routine as the Leo moon squares off with Venus and Uranus early in the morning, which, yes, can make us feel very restless, erratic, very up and down. But with the Leo moon trining Jupiter and Aries, we're in the mood to explore. We're in the mood to get outside. We're in the mood to adventure. And it's kind of fun because I love that the Leo moon gets to have some fun, right? Saturn is out of Aquarius, so the Leo moon gets to create and explore and be heart-centered. And even though it squares off with Venus and Taurus, which square can lead to excess, so, you know, in the morning time, going to excess with sweets, right? Going to excess with coffee, going to excess with laziness. Again, it's an excess of energy. I will say, after the moon squares Venus, the next aspect is building to trine Jupiter. This is special in astrology because these are the two benefics, right? So this is the energy where we're saying yes to life. We're open to life. We're in the mood to see what is sweet and what is expansive about life. So quite the opposite to my little practical joke, okay? Get out there, explore, follow your heart, see where it takes you, be open, and see the world through this lens of growth, as well as the Leo moon then trines Mercury in Aries. So again, are there downsides sometimes with Mercury and Aries? Absolutely. We're a little bit more feisty as it relates to our language. We could be a little bit more assertive. Certainly with the Leo moon trining Mercury and Aries, we could be a little bit more bossy, right? We have a vision, we have a perspective, and we want things to go in a particular way. But it is very lovely for hyping up yourself, hyping up those around you, hyping up yourself and doing what charges up your life force, okay? Life is not just about tasks. Life is not just about responsibilities. See some new sights. Learn something new, spend time with someone new, empower what it is that just lights you up, that lights your soul up. There will come a time for the responsibilities, okay? Namely, the next day. So it's really not the time to operate from this lens of force. Like, certainly in the morning time, I mean, Leo moon squared Venus trine Jupiter, you could be feeling lazy and listless, and sometimes that's just beautiful. Giving yourself a lazy morning or just doing something where you enjoy wasting the time. Like, if you need a moment to lie in bed after this productive week of astrology, to lie in bed and just look at the sun streaming through your blinds, maybe do a crossword puzzle, like, allow those moments. The word that keeps coming to me is luxuriate, right? The Leo moon is the the archetype of royalty. And with the square to Venus, wanting to luxuriate into nice things, sweet things, the love around us. So take it easy into the day. Follow what it is that activates your heart. Follow what it is that you want to do. Listen to your wants rather than like what you need to do. Trust me, the moon enters Virgo the following day. There will be time to handle the tasks and the laundry, okay? So on Sunday, the moon enters Virgo at 3:57 a.m. and this is attuning to the details, to the responsibilities, and right when it enters Virgo, now it just gets hit with a fresh opposition to Saturn and Pisces, which is reminding us, hey, you luxuriated in bed all day yesterday, you took a bubble bath, you just went on a lazy stroll with your partner, and now what are we gonna do about the spreadsheet and these tasks? Again, with the Virgo moon, it's like wanting to find control over the little affairs of our life. And with opposition to Saturn, things can feel crushing, right? It could be like a strong Sunday scary energy. We are moving into a full moon week, okay? The Libra full moon is coming up. By the way, I did do a Libra full moon deep dive if you want to check that out for your sign. But just knowing that things tend to feel quicker and busier as we lead up to the essentially full moon. So Sunday would be the day that I would say just like bucket the tasks and responsibilities that allow you to get ahead, if possible, on the affairs of the upcoming week so that you're not so stressed. Like the Virgo moon does feel a little stressed with opposition to Saturn. Things can feel a little crushing, Sunday scaries, but luckily the Virgo moon is sextiling Mars in Cancer. So there's a can-do spirit around handling this task and handling this task and handling this task and getting it done, okay? Like if you're like me and you're related to what I was sharing at the beginning around feeling like there's so much to do that you don't even know where to start, one step at a time, okay? This too shall pass. We are building our energy and allocating our energy to sustainably get what it is that we want. There is no rush for what is meant for you, okay? Just handle what responsibilities are on your plate at this moment, helping out this person, supporting this, handling these bills, handling these errands, calling this company, what have you. One step at a time, okay? And with the sextile to Mars and Cancer, honoring your energy. After you've spent 45 minutes on hold with the Wi-Fi company because something's going wrong, like allowing yourself to go for a little walk. Like again, we're not saying burn yourself out. The Virgo moon opposite Saturn, there could be a lot of pressure on you around, okay, there's so much to do, there's so much on my plate, but with the sextile to Mars and Cancer, it's like, okay, we are going to handle these tasks, but we're also going to nurture ourselves within the process. We're gonna follow our energy. We're gonna nap when we need to nap without guilt. We are going to go outside if we see that the sun is poking out. We are going to call a friend if we're in the mood to call a friend. We're gonna follow our energy while still getting everything done. There is a way to do both, okay? So my loves, the Magic Monday mantra of the week is I am open to the possibilities. With Mercury on Jupiter, Venus on Uranus, there is this electric, exciting energy. Almost like when you're driving with your friend and you're like, what should we get into? We really could do anything. We could go get pancakes. We could go to the record store. We could go to Target and get bean bags to go stargaze. We could do anything, right? And we forget that, right? We forget that because we're in our tasks and our responsibilities. And again, I know that there's a lot going on within the world. I know that you have a lot on your plate and there could be energy around, I don't have time to just waste time with my friend, right? I don't have time to go on an adventure. But when I say giving yourself those possibilities, giving yourself that new stimuli can sometimes be just the balance. Again, I'll keep highlighting this as we get closer to Libra full moon, that allows you to show up for your tasks and responsibilities with more presence, right? You are not a machine. You cannot just crank out your tasks and responsibilities and take care of everybody else. Sometimes it's nice to be able to fuel what in your life prompts that creativity, prompts that energy of having an open mind, having an open heart, of being open to possibility, of being open to potential, right? Of being able to look at a Tuesday night that typically, you would be inside and sip your tea and read your book and be like, why not? Let's see what's going on a Tuesday. Let's stay open to life. Let's stay open to living. And whether you're staying open to the possibilities when it relates to your dating world with Venus on Uranus, open to the possibilities as it relates to your creativity, open to the possibilities as it relates to your life and the process of excavating more you out of you, staying open, okay? Staying open. Inspiration is everywhere. Opportunity is everywhere. Potential is everywhere. You just have to be able to see it. So my loves, that is our week. I want to apologize again for playing a practical April Fool's joke on you guys. I couldn't resist. I'm a Gemini midheaven, so I'm going to approach these things with a little bit of mischief. And this is a good week for mischief, okay? This is a good week for mischief and spontaneity, right? I want to thank Magic Mind for sponsoring not just this video, but also my mind and my to-do list. These productivity shots have been so helpful and getting me back on track so I can move into this Mars in Cancer, essentially energy, by using my energy better and allocating it better. So my loves, I will see you next week. No more practical jokes, I promise. But until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay magical.